I joked a few months ago that I need to stop planning my homilies well in advance because it seems you never know what kind of crazy stuff might happen before Sunday rolls around. It appears I should have taken my own advice. Sorry, this is, I guess, kind of off the cuff or unpolished this morning. It's been kind of a little bit of a crazy last 24 hours, as I mentioned, but I've tried to kind of gather my thoughts a little bit and share with you what I'm thinking about what happened yesterday, really in light of today's gospel. Yesterday, what I was informed what had happened, we were actually here, we had a First Communion Mass, a beautiful Mass, went back to the friary and just figured it would be a nice normal afternoon. But as soon as I found out what had happened, I found myself running to my car and really just speeding down LD Lockett to the church. Truly, I was thinking about this later, it was the first time I've ever been unafraid to speed down LD Lockett, because I knew where all the cops were going to be, why was I in such a rush? I was thinking about this when I got here. What on earth did I think that me getting here fast was going to do? What was I going to run into CBI and just start tackling hostage takers? Did I think that the SWAT team was going to let me in and just go in and be like, oh, I'll talk to this guy about Jesus and we'll really change his heart, Of course, ridiculous ideas, right? But these are the ideas that come up. Why? Because we're problem solvers, right? Human beings are by nature, we are problem solvers. No matter how huge the problem, something like a hostage crisis, we want to get in there and start to fix things, even if we know that that's a completely ridiculous thought to believe that we can have any direct influence over what's happening in that situation. But sometimes we come up against situations in our lives where once we look at the magnitude, the reality that we're facing, we feel completely powerless, right? And we're always encountering situations like this in our lives. It doesn't have to be something as big as what happened yesterday. It happens to all of us on a daily basis. The things that we come up against, these obstacles we come up against over and over again in our lives. We have one of those situations like that in our gospel today. It's a wedding. It's a wedding and the wine is gone. They have no more wine. Okay, you can't just make it appear out of thin air, right? So there's a problem. But the people, they need wine to have the party. There's no party without wine. It occurred to me, not much has changed in the last 2,000 years. How helpless the servers must feel, though, in this situation. This is their job. This is their job, and they really can't do anything to influence the situation. It's their job to make sure that this wedding is successful. They can't fix the problem at hand, though. So when Jesus tells them to fill the jars with water, they're just like, you got to figure, they're like, what? I'm sorry, fill the jars with what? With water? How is that going to help anything? But it's through that small act of trust in these servers that a transformation happens. It's in this acknowledgement of their own helplessness and really a reliance upon Jesus, in the providence of Jesus, that this transformation happens. It's through filling the jars with nothing but water that the transformation happens. I was on this campus for pretty much the entirety of everything that happened yesterday. I met a lot of new people. And if there was one thing that everyone had in common, whether it was police officers or FBI officers or the media that was here, it's that everybody wanted to help. That's something everybody had in common. But if there's one more thing that everybody had in common, it's that they felt powerless to solve the problem at hand. And as individuals, they were powerless. That's true, and we all were. We were all here yesterday because of a problem, but nobody could solve it. And you got this sense of restlessness because of that. It wasn't a chaotic restlessness, like people just running around aimlessly, but a restlessness that was filled with desire. I found myself just kind of zipping around campus for hours at a time, feeling like I should be doing something, but I don't really know what. And I know that almost everybody here felt the same way. But you know what I did see all day long? I saw people filling the jars with water, people trusting in God in little ways, trusting in God the best that they could, and just filling the jars with water. The countless guardian ministers who came to patrol this campus and keep it safe, filling the jars with water. The rabbis and the imams and everyone who gathered here to pray with the family and friends of all those who are affected, filling the jars with water. The church hall opened up for media members to come and grab coffee, to warm up, to recharge their phones and their laptops, filling the jars with water. The interfaith vigil that was held right here in our daily chapel last night with words of prayer from Christian pastors, from priests, from rabbis, and community leaders from Colleyville, filling the jars with water. The food donated by parishioners, people here at Good Shepherd. Our poor Marriage on Tap ministry, we had to cancel them last night. They donated all of their food to the family of those who are affected by everything happening, filling the jars with water. The prayers of millions of people too far away from Colleyville to be physically available to help, filling the jars with water. People everywhere trusting in God, filling the jars, waiting for transformation. And it came. Praise God, it came. And the relief came. The thanksgiving among those here on this campus at about 9 o'clock last night. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Last night at the prayer vigil, we had one of the rabbis present. He read from Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the mountains, from where shall come my help? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. First of all, I think there's something special. I love it so much to be able to hear the Psalms read by one of from our Jewish brothers and sisters. It reminds us, I think, so much that our faith, this Catholic faith that we hold so dear, we owe so much to the Jewish people, to the people of the history of Israel. And there's so much, of course, that we hold in common. And second of all, though, what a perfect psalm and verse for everything that was happening yesterday, and also everything we see in our gospel reading today. That's a perfect psalm to explain it. What can we do when we face a problem without a solution? Just a feeling of complete helplessness as we face in our lives so often, every single day. All of us in the pews here today, we're facing problems. We're all fighting hidden battles. We want to fix those things. It's in our nature to. So we run around, sometimes frantically, just trying to put out fires the best we can. We raise our eyes to the mountains and we wonder, where is my help? From where shall come my help? How can I solve this? How can I make it right? Well, the answer, of course, we know this. It's not out there. It's not in the mountains. It's in here, right? It's Jesus. It's Jesus who requires only a jar full of water to transform a situation according to his will. Can we fill that jar for him? It's such a simple thing. It's such a simple thing, but it requires really a destruction of our pride. It requires shifting our mentality from, I'm going to be the hero in this situation, to, I'm going to be the guy who makes a sandwich for the hero, right? It can be a real downgrade in our pride. It requires, I think, sometimes getting to the end of the day and thinking, I'm not sure if I did anything productive to solve the problems that I faced in my life today, but I did what I could. And I did what I thought Jesus was asking me to do in that moment, and I hope that's enough. Hope that's enough. You know what? It always is. It always is enough, because our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Give him water, and he'll make wine.